Hi, I'm Gianmaria Griglio, I'm a conductor and a composer, and welcome to this episode of Conducting Pills, a series where we take a repertoire piece or a part of it and we analyze it from a conductor's point of view. In this episode, we'll dig into Dukas' Sorcerer's Apprentice, its evocative music and orchestration, and of course we'll have some technical tips. As usual, you can jump through different sections of the video by clicking on the links present in the description below. And now, let's begin! Known almost exclusively for The Sorcerer's Apprentice, Paul Dukas had quite an interesting career. He wrote very little music, and at one point he refused to keep writing, getting as far as to destroy his own works. And what we're left with are more or less 15 compositions of extreme high quality. The Sorcerer's Apprentice is a symphonic poem written in 1897 based on a ballad by Goethe, and it's pretty much all he is remembered for. And this despite the fact that Dukas wrote one of the most beautiful and refined opera of the French repertoire, Ariane and Barbe-bleue. And another gem in his catalogue is his symphony, which is not performed nearly as enough as it should. Notoriously, The Sorcerer's Apprentice was used in the Disney cartoon Fantasia, but the great popularity that it got from it also shadowed some of its unique characteristics, like its structure and its orchestration. Now, the structure per se is in sonata form, like a movement of a classical symphony. As I've said in other videos, the sonata form is a structure typical of the classicism, and it normally presents an exposition with the first and the second theme, a development section, and a recapitulation. And everything is often framed by a slow introduction and a coda. Here, however, we're not going to find the usual two contrasting themes, a more masculine first theme versus a more feminine second theme. Dukas gives us 4 themes, all of them presented in the slow introduction. The first theme, quite exotic in its harmonies, will see almost no development except towards the end. This theme, very fluid in nature, is generally referred to as the theme of the water. And throughout the piece, its function is to connect sections together. Right after, Dukas gives us the second theme, probably the most popular one, announced by the clarinet. Presenting the theme slower at the beginning of the piece is a smart composing trick. It allows the listener to get familiar with the fast piece at a slow pace. It's exactly like practicing. And this is known as the theme of the magic broom. Now, to keep practicing, the water theme comes back, followed again by the magic broom theme, and then Dukas changes pace. He gives us the third theme in a new vivo section. Vivo means lively, by the way. And this one is the Apprentice theme. It's full of liveliness and the cockiness of youth, but also of its naivete. Stop on the hold before the vivo and give a very sharp upbeat. Keep it in the wrist, keep your stroke small, and this will guarantee clarity and togetherness of the orchestra. We then go back to the slow part, and then we're thrown into the fourth theme. More than a theme, actually this is a motif. It's a call. Every time the sorcerer will pop through in the story, we'll hear this motif. Notice how a part of the broom's theme pops up under the sorcerer's theme. The idea of Dukas is brilliant. This is de facto a traditional slow introduction, just like the ones that we find in the classical symphonies. The musical material is introduced bit by bit or theme by theme, and once that's over, we'll get into the actual story. The introduction stops with a timpani strike, and then there's silence. Dukas keeps the suspense. And then the story develops in its sonata form, based, as mentioned, not on 2 but on 4 themes. Even though the function of the themes themselves is different from the classic sonata form. Now, the water theme, for example, is never really developed, but it serves as an interjection between the others. The sorcerer's theme is a signal appearing in very specific moments of the piece, at the end of the development and at the end of the recapitulation. And the other 2 themes are used as first and the second themes of a typical sonata form. After the slow introduction, the first theme is introduced by a kind of grotesque accompaniment, just a piece of it at first. then the rest. And the theme itself is played by an instrument that traditionally can sound grotesque, the bassoon. The theme will be presented again with a crescendo that eventually will reach the full orchestra. The water theme is injected into the orchestral fabric, and then the theme is passed onto the muted trumpets. Now, once we get to the second theme, the Apprentice theme, the theme arrives exactly in the key that we would expect it in a sonata form, the dominant key. Notice how this rhythmic cell, repeated a number of times, works as a glue between the first and the second theme. It is the same cell rhythmically that we heard in the Bruns theme, just reversed. See how refined Dukas' compositional style is. From this point forward, a sort of battle between the two themes begins. Now the Bruns theme is back in full orchestra. And there's a sudden piano and the development begins. The themes keep confronting each other, interjected by the water theme. As in the best tradition of development, different musical elements are taken and tossed around. And the change of articulation is one of the first things that pops up. The staccato is gone and leaves place to a legato marking. And then the Apprentice theme is back in full orchestra, and then the Bruns theme again. But the accompaniment now is very chromatic and doesn't offer a stable ground for the themes to sit on, and the music keeps shifting and sliding away. Split hands at number 36. For instance, you can use your right hand to control the staccato of the woodwinds and the harp, and the smaller the stroke, the clearer it will be. Your left hand can be saved for the violas and the cellos, although the less you interfere with the orchestra here, the better it is. Same goes for rehearsal number 38. Now the climax of the development is signaled by the Sorcerer's call. And see how Dukas shrinks time, giving the impression of the tempo getting faster. On top of that, he adds drama by climbing up the scale every time. The tempo slows down gradually in a quasi-static moment. And the use of the contrabassoon first and then in combination with the bass clarinet makes the atmosphere even more grotesque. Slowly but surely, we slide into the recapitulation, which is also the moment in which the broom wakes up, by the way. The battle of the themes is back until they overlap with one another. It's a brilliant and highly skilled use of the themes in counterpoint, an idea that was really popular among composers of the late 19th century. The themes face each other at first, they study each other, they get closer, they fight, and finally they overlap in the synthesis of the musical thought. As a matter of fact, at one of the high points, the themes overlap again, and after a final elaboration, the Sorcerer theme erupts again in the brass, all of them, horns, trumpets, cornets, and trombones. By the way, the cornet, not to be confused with the medieval instrument, is an instrument that's very similar to the trumpet. It differs from it for its conical bore and its mellower tone. And then only the coda is left. The coda presents the themes once more, partially or completed. The water theme in the violins and viola, the Broom's theme in the bassoon, while a solo viola plays a fragment of the Apprentice theme. The themes are echoed in different instruments, and the piece ends with the famous final broom stroke. The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which at first might look like a fairly simple and entertaining piece, is in fact quite complex. Dukas manages to glue all the themes together in one way or another. Even the Sorcerer's Call is related to the other themes by a similarity in the interval. We're used to associating this piece with a cartoon, when in fact it's proof of a highly skilled and refined composer. And it's real pity for such a composer to be remembered almost exclusively for this single piece. Though it's clear how much thought and skill went into the composition of this work, both in terms of formal structure and dramatic arch. Not to mention the highly imaginative and descriptive themes that, combined with a masterful orchestration, make this piece come to life in any concert hall. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button right below the video and ring the bell so you will get notified every time a new video comes out. Now let me know in the comments what you think about this piece, and if you have any suggestion for a topic or a subject that you would like to see featured in one of the future videos. And I will see you next week with a new episode of Conducting Pills, where we will remain in France, and after Ravel and Dukas we will talk about Griglio's Symphony Fantastique. Till then, bye bye.